Good morning, students. This is my lecture number 2 for class 11th, subject English. This is lecture number 2 for chapter number 4, Landscape of the Soul, from your main course book, Hornbill. Children, in lecture number 1 of this chapter, I told you about the author. I gave you introduction. I taught you the complete chapter from book word to word with difficult words and its explanation, and then I assigned you homework. Today in this lecture I will give you again the introduction. We will recapitulate the whole chapter again, and then we will proceed to the textual exercise given in your book. We will take the questions given in your book one by one. I will explain all those answers to you. So, let's begin with the introduction of the chapter. Children, this chapter, as I told you, is written by Nathalie Troveroy. In this chapter, the author tells us how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. The writer uses two stories to make a contrast between the Chinese art and the European art. He tells us that European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas a Chinese art is about not creating a real landscape. European art is an artist's way to let its viewers show exactly what he wants them to see in the landscape, whereas Chinese art is the artist's spiritual and inner voice, where you can travel from any point and it lets the viewers create a path for their imagination. So, the introduction of this lesson is that the writer Nathalie Troveroy describes how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. A painter named Wu Daozi, who lived in the 8th century, was assigned to decorate a palace wall by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong. It was his last painting. The painter hid his work behind the screen so that the only emperor would see it. The emperor, upon looking at the painting, admired many things into that painting, like discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, floating clouds, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight, etc. The painter then made him look at a cave in the painting, which was at the foot of the mountain, and compared it with the living spirit. As the painter clapped his hands, the entrance of the cave opened, and he let the emperor know how beautiful the inside of the cave was, and he asked him to show all this to him. The painter entered the cave, and the entrance closed behind him. The emperor couldn't enter the cave, as the emperor was greatly surprised. The painting vanished from the wall. After that, the painter Wu Daozi was never seen again. These stories played an important role in classical education in China. Similarly, like the books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of such stories, as they help the masters to help and guide his followers in the right direction. These stories were considered to be deeply revealing of the spirit, just like the art. There was another famous story, in contrast to the previous one, where the painter wouldn't paint the eye of a dragon because he had a fear that the dragon would fly out from the painting. So it was one of the stories from many others which came from a medieval country in Western Europe. During the 15th century in Antwerp, a master blacksmith named Quentin Mestes fell in love with the painter's daughter. Since the father was not accepting their relationship because of his profession, as he was a blacksmith, so the blacksmith sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel. The painting was so real that the master tried to hit the fly away before he realized that it was just a painting. The blacksmith was accepted into the studio as a trainee. He married the painter's daughter and later became one of the famous painters of his age. The two stories told above are trying to illustrate the form of art in two different regions. In Europe, the art is perfect and like an illusion which resembles something, and in Asia, the art gives an essence of inner life and spirit. As in the Chinese story, the artist reveals the true meaning of his work to the emperor who rules over his territory but didn't know the way within. The emperor only saw the outer appearance of the wall painting. The work was mysterious and Dao, which means something which has both paths, is what the artist did. As the painting was gone after the artist reached the caves, the motive was fulfilled that some work is beyond material appearance. So, there is some art of beauty that is beyond material appearance. The Chinese landscape painting is not made with a real viewpoint, but it's a representation of the artist's thoughts. The Western painting in Europe is a figurative art form. The European painter wants a landscape to show you a specific scene of the landscape, whereas the Chinese painter does not choose a real viewpoint. You can enter the painting from any point and can travel anywhere where your thoughts and imagination take you. The Chinese artist wants you to travel by creating your own path and then come out of it in a relaxed movement. In China, this mode of seeing a painting is more enjoyable. A horizontal scroll is a form where one section of the painting is opened one by one by rolling it up to move on to the other side. It creates a dimension which is not practiced in any other format artwork. It requires both mental and physical participation of the viewers. The Chinese painter wants you to enter his mind and see the painting from his thoughts. The landscape created by Chinese artists is spiritual, inner, and of conceptual or abstract space. The Chinese concept of art is also expressed as Shan Shui, which also means mountain water. It is used together to represent the word landscape. The two complementary poles of an image reflect the Taoist view. The mountain in the landscape is yang, which means to reach vertically towards heaven, that is stable, warm and dry in the sun, whereas the water is the yin, which is receptive and feminine aspect of universal energy. The yang is active and masculine and the opposite of yin. There is a third essential element which is a middle void, which is a place where they interact. This middle void can be compared to pranayam, which means to breathe in, retain and breathe out. Hence, or here, the suspension of the breath is the void in this meditation process. It's an essential part as nothing can happen without it. Hence, the white unpainted space in Chinese landscape is equally important. Here, the middle void is where a man finds an important role. Man is the channel of communication in the space between heaven and earth, which are two poles of the universe. Man's presence is essential. It's not being lost or suppressed due to high peaks, but he is the eye of the landscape. So children, here the recapitulation of landscape of the soul is completed. Now let's proceed to the textual exercise, which begins with understanding the text question number 1. In question number 1, the writer asks, contrast the Chinese view of art with the European view with examples. And this I explained in the introduction as well as in the explanation of the chapter to you. So, the answer to this question can be written: the Chinese form of art is based on imagination and shows inner and spiritual approach of the artist, whereas the European art form is real and reproduces an actual view of the object from the landscape. In this chapter, the writer has told us how different the Chinese art form is from the European one. He tells that European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas Chinese art is about not creating a real landscape. And European art is an artist's way to let the viewers show exactly what he wants them to see in his landscape, whereas Chinese art is the artist's spiritual and inner voice where you can travel from any point. So this is the difference the writer gives us between the Chinese art and European art form. Now we will proceed to the second part of question number 1, which is explain the concept of Shan Shui. Children, when I taught you this chapter, I already told you the Chinese concept of art is expressed as Shan Shui, which also means mountain water. The mountain in the landscape is yang, which is active and masculine, whereas the water is the yin, which is receptive and feminine. So the middle void can be compared to pranaya, which means to breathe in, retain and breathe out. So man is the channel of communication in the space between heaven and earth, which are the two poles of the universe. So Shan Shui is basically a Chinese concept of art which literally means mountain water. It is used together to represent the word landscape and the two complementary poles, which are yin and yang, feminine and masculine, of an image reflect the Taoist's view. Now, question number 2 of understanding the text is: what do you understand by the terms outsider art and art brut or raw art? The best example of this question is given by Nek Chand in the rock garden of Chandigarh. Right? That is also given. The picture of that rock garden in Chandigarh is given in your textbook also. So what would be the answer of this question? Outsider art is the art made by untrained artists. For example, children or mentally ill person. That is outsider art. And art brut, which is called raw art, is a type of art made by people who are not professionals, but they create an art piece with their own depth and understanding and not from the stereotypical form of classical or fashionable art. I repeat, raw art is a type of art made by people who are not professionals, but they create an art piece with their own depth and understanding and not from the stereotypical form of classical or fashionable art. And the best example of this raw art is Rock Garden in Chandigarh, which is the artwork of Nek Chand, who was not a professional one, but that was based on the depth and understanding of the artist. The second part of question number 2 is: who was the untutored genius who created a paradise, and what is the nature of his contribution to art? Children, though in this chapter the writer has given the comparison of Chinese and European art, but he has proved that with the example of Indian art, which is given by him in the book of the Rock Garden, that is in Chandigarh. And there he shows the work of Nek Chand. And Nek Chand is known as untutored genius who created a paradise in Chandigarh with his unprofessional techniques, with the depth and understanding about the art. So, the answer to this question can be written: the untutored genius who created a paradise was Nek Chand. He was an 80-year-old creator, director, who made the world famous rock garden in Chandigarh. He used everything from a tin to sink or anything which he felt as an art form. One of his famous creation is Women by the Waterfall. If you have visited the park in Chandigarh, you would have seen how beautifully he has given the different images with the depth and understanding of the art. That is the best example in India that tells that an untutored can also set an example to create a paradise on earth. These are total 4 questions, and after these 4 questions we will proceed to talking about the text, in which question number 1 is: discuss the emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. You would have understood the question that if there is an emperor who is ruling over any territory, he can rule over only the territory that he has conquered. But an artist knows how the different ways can be created to enjoy the complete territory. So the answer to this question can be written: this statement means that the emperor rules over the territory which he has conquered and have the power, but the artist knows the path and mysterious work of the universe. The artist can go beyond the materialistic appearance of objects. No matter how powerful the emperor was, the artist's true art form can be seen the way he wants to show them. The writer proved this statement by giving the example of the Chinese artist when he was asked by an emperor to decorate or make a landscape on the palace wall. And when the wall was completely decorated by the artist, the emperor went to have a look on the beautiful landscape that was decorated on the palace wall. But when the Chinese artist clapped his hands and asked the emperor that he would take the emperor to enjoy or to travel the landscape, the entrance closed onto him and the Chinese artist got vanished with that painting on the wall. So this was the beautiful example given by the writer in order to prove that it is not only the emperor that rules over the territory, but the artist can come to know about the different ways. Question number 2 is: discuss the landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. And the answer to this question would be the statement: the landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space, means that a Chinese artist wants the viewer to enter his mind rather than borrowing his eyes to view his art piece. This requires both physical and mental participation of the viewer. Viewer can enter the painting from any point and travel from one point to another point, as it's not a real one. It's an inner, spiritual and abstract space of the artist. Therefore, such artists want the viewers to enter their mind while traveling their paintings or their art form, rather than borrowing their eyes to view their art piece. So, this was the complete explanation of question number 2. So, children, now you would have noticed that I have discussed total 6 questions with you, which are given in your textbook to answer. And now we are proceeding towards homework. Homework of the day is learn and write all these 6 discussed question answers from the lesson Landscape of the Soul in your Fair English notebook. I hope you would be capable enough to learn and write all these question answers properly in your Fair English notebook by the time. Thank you. Have a nice day.